Ragnarok. It's finally here. This movie has been on our most anticipated list since the end of 2016 when we had our list out for most anticipated films for 2017. So to say Jason and I have been looking for this film is an understatement. Anytime a Marvel film comes out, we're always usually excited. But this one, like, I don't know, like just from the trailers and everything and the story I'd heard that had been coming, like I'd really been looking forward to it. And I gotta say, this is, of course, by the way, a non-spoiler review, as you can see on the title of this video. So don't worry, we're not going to be going over any spoilers. Make sure you check out this movie for sure, because it was very, very good. I really enjoyed it, and I would have to say we're going to do a rankings video, but I'm kind of going to spoil a little bit. This is my favorite Thor film by far.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had a lot of fun. It was just really entertaining, very funny. The whole tone of the movie definitely had a lot of humor incorporated, and it was pretty obvious, but once I kind of adjusted to knowing that's how it was going to be, I think it really worked for the movie, and yeah, I had a lot of fun watching this one.
And obviously the director is Taika Waititi, so to say there's going to be humor and comedy in the film is obvious. That was very obvious to most people, but I think what I loved about this film, even though there's a ton of humor and a lot of comedic moments in this film, and a lot of the actors are given a ton of room to shine with their comedic banter, but I think what I loved about this film so much is it does a great, Taika Waititi did such a great job of balancing the comedic, or the humor, the dramatic moments, the stakes, giving everyone their moments. I just thought it was all very well balanced out. And also, too, I like how there were some dark moments in the film. There were some light moments. So, again, just a very good job of balancing and blending it in together.
Yeah, the movie did jump around a lot, but I thought that, like you said, it was balanced, and there are many characters and many different places we go to, but it all gets kind of its own time.
But I think what I liked about, even though there was a ton of humor in the film, a lot of it didn't come off as forced. It just came off more natural and organic. And just, again, when you have this much humor in a movie, there's going to be points where you're worried, like, I hope there's not a few jokes that really fall flat. And for the most part, I can't really think of too many jokes that fell flat.
Nothing fell flat for me. Maybe a couple times they, like, took it a little too long, but I don't know, that's nitpicking. For the most part, I thought most of the jokes were really good, and like it just kind of fit the style of the movie.
Now let's talk about a few characters without going too much into spoiler territory, really. Let's talk a little bit about Thor now. If you watched any of our other reviews of Thor the Dark World, which we have linked in the description below, we know how Thor has had an incredible arc from the beginning of the first film to the end of that film, and also in the second film, The Dark World, we talked a lot about how he'd become more reflective, and I like how this film gets back to that again, that more mature Thor. And again, obviously we're going to talk a lot about humor in this review, but Chris Hemsworth is freaking hysterical, and some of his lines and some of his dialogue and
his delivery
too. We'll go into spoiler talk about some of our, like, there's a certain joke in there from another MCU movie that he just milks such a funny way. I think you know what I'm kind of talking about, but it's, again, his delivery, his facial reactions, and again, then when we get into the more dramatic and more serious moments, he's all game, and he just absolutely is a great actor and just a very good choice for the God of Thunder, and he just does a great job of conveying his emotions, whether they be for comedic banter or, again, more of the dramatic, serious, tension-filled moments. So I just love Chris Hemsworth in all the films where he plays Thor, but he did an incredible job again in this one.
Yeah, I think so. His arc maybe isn't as big as it is in the other movies, but he still has growth, and like you said, his portrayal and his delivery is throughout the whole movie just kept the whole movie flowing. And obviously he's the main character of the movie, but we also got to talk about Loki, who is another one of the main characters, and I feel like his performance is always a roller coaster. He's always conveying so many different emotions, and like you never quite know exactly what he's thinking, and like he's the god of mischief, but like at some moments you think, oh, like he's actually like feeling like he has a good side, and then you just never know what's gonna happen.
It's Loki.
But I always love watching Tom Hiddleston, and I mean, another great performance. He kind of felt a little different in this movie. Like his character has progressed throughout the 3-4 movies that he's been in.
And you're right. He's definitely a little bit different than some of the other films, but I like that. It's good progression because it makes sense with the way he acts and behaves in this film, with certain events that happen throughout the film and throughout the course of the other films. I think the moments I always enjoy, on top of the great dramatic-filled, tension-filled moments that Tom Hiddleston always brings, I love the chemistry between him and Chris Hemsworth, Thor. They're just so good together, and I love the way you really get that sense of history between them, of being family, and that they grew up so many years and fought so many battles. Like whenever those two are on screen together, I really always get the sense of that they've been together for so many years, and you get that sense of that history whenever they're with each other.
Yeah, that's definitely probably my favorite part of the whole Thor series is the the dynamic between Thor and Loki and just their brotherly bond. And they obviously fight more than they get along, but they still have that inner connection where they, like, if you want to say they love each other, but they're still going to fight.
And also, too, we're talking about Loki being in a different place. It is very interesting to see where they've gone in this film from where we see him at the end of course, Thor the Dark World to what's going on now. And we're not going to spoil anything, but that opening sequence where he's portraying a different character is hysterical. We will definitely talk a lot about that scene in the spoiler talk. So, all right, now we're really quickly going to talk about Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. Now, I love her in this role. Like, she's a badass. I like where her motivations, the moral compass that she has. I also kind of like the situation and issue that they give the character because it drives her motivation throughout the film with what she's going through and then what causes her to do what she does throughout the film. And also, I mentioned that she was a little bit of a badass. Her hand-to-hand combat and the way she like beats the crap out of characters, it just, you really get very invested in this character in such a short, quick amount of time. And again, she just brought this presence, and again, the way she conveys a lot of different emotions throughout. And again, I keep saying this with all the actors. I'm going to keep saying it, that her comedic timing and banter too, and certain scenes and moments just really worked. And again, she had very good chemistry with Chris Hemsworth, and I just really enjoyed her a lot as Valkyrie. She was really good.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect from her character going into the movie. I didn't really know much about like what her character was going to be, but she definitely delivered. I mean, definitely another badass character, and you know, it develops a good dynamic with Thor and even with Loki and the Hulk too. Let's also talk about Hela. She, I thought, was pretty badass, at least especially in the beginning of the movie. Like, her fight scenes in the beginning were really cool, and she was very menacing. And like throughout the movie, I was kind of thinking like, oh, how are they going to stop her? Because she's very strong, obviously, and you know, we see fight scenes with her and Thor and Loki, and she just like, you know, she's pretty badass.
I'd probably put her in my top 5 favorite villains in all the MCU, and I could be wrong, but I believe this is our first female MCU villain, so if I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments section, but I believe it is. And like you said, Cate Blanchett, she's menacing, she's threatening, she's very funny too in certain moments. Again, we talk about badass, like just her action sequences and that threat you feel from her whenever she's doing stuff. It's incredible. And again, I just really, really, really like how they make you feel throughout the film. How are they gonna beat this character? Like, she's pretty damn menacing and powerful. And what ends up happening throughout at the end of the film is kind of a twist I didn't see coming, so I really appreciated that.
And it's not like some convenient like setup that they, it actually was like, a tough decision, and like, I don't know, the resolve of how they defeat the villain, I actually really enjoyed. All
right, we obviously got to talk about the Hulk, because we'd be crazy if we didn't. So Mark Ruffalo again returns as Bruce Banner / the Hulk. I'm not sure if he was the one voicing the Hulk. It might have been Lou Ferrigno. He was? It was Mark Ruffalo?
I think so.
Okay, well, either way.
I could be wrong.
If it was Mark Ruffalo or Lou Ferrigno, you guys are going to let us know in the comments.
I thought it was Mark Ruffalo.
Whichever one was, I loved how Hulk was. I know this is kind of a little bit spoiler territory, but if you watch the trailers, you do know he does talk a little more in this film. So
I think it's the first time we've really seen like the Hulk be the Hulk, not in battle,
Right, yeah, because if you read the comics or you've watched like Avengers Assemble, one of the best shows ever, by the way. If you watch that show, you really get to see the Hulk being the Hulk a lot of times. Like, whenever he's hanging out in Avengers Mansion, he's the Hulk, and he's not Bruce Banner. He's talking and, having dialogue with the Avengers as the Hulk. So I really appreciated those moments in the film, especially his scenes with Thor. Like, some of their banter, I know I keep going back to this, is just downright hysterical. Yeah. And the action sequences we get to see with Hulk do not disappoint. I think what I appreciated a lot about the action sequences in this film are a lot of the camera work and the cinematography, which was very beautifully done in this film. I enjoyed how a lot of times that the camera is really staying still. It's not doing shaky cam, and it's really giving us a good look at what's going on. And a lot of the hand-to-hand combat too, I thought it felt a little choreographed, but it was still...
Some scenes were better than others, but I think that,
very well done.
I think for the most part, like, most of the action was good, but even in the scenes where it did feel a little choreographed, like, the visuals around what was happening and like everything was going on, it kind of like made up for it.
Because it's so
like, it didn't really bother me. It's just like, it kind of like, just seemed like a stage, like, oh, I'm gonna punch this guy, and then I'm gonna punch this guy, and then I'm gonna punch this guy. And like, obviously when Thor has all this power, it's pretty cool, but like some of the cooler fight scenes are like when there's more movement going on, not just like them mowing down kind of minions kind of thing.
And I don't mind choreography as long as the cinematography and the hand-to-hand combat looks good. As long as it looks good and it really looks like the actor is truly doing it. Danny Rand, Iron Fist, you know. As long as it really looks like the actor is doing the work, like Keanu Reeves and John Wick, whatever. That's when I really appreciate that kind of hand-to-hand combat. And Hela, too, as we mentioned, she is a badass, and some of her hand-to-hand combat was absolutely incredible, and that adds, you know, a lot on top of the personality and why we like the character. And really quickly getting back to Hela, I think one other thing I liked about her was her character. I think what I like, villains that I like the most are characters you don't agree with, but you understand where they're coming from. You understand their motivations, and I think those are, and they think that they're doing good by their own mind. I think those are kind of the scarier kind of villains, and why I appreciated her just so much more. And she was very strategic too, so I really appreciated her character a lot. Nitpicks, flaws, and issues. Now, I didn't really have a ton of problems or issues with this film. There was one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit. I can't really talk about it on a non-spoiler review. It kind of spoils a little bit of the film, but I'll go over a lot more in depth on the spoiler talk and why I wanted to feel the impact of certain character moments, but I'll go over it, like I said, in the spoiler talk.
Yeah, and I don't really have too many nitpicks either. Like, maybe one or two jokes here and there, like, I thought dragged a little bit, but I mean, that's pushing it. And if anything, just things that they revealed in the trailer that I wish I just weren't revealed.
All right, so final thoughts. Thor Ragnarok is very entertaining. It's got great trippy visual effects. It's got a great chemistry between all the actors are fantastic together. The tone is very well done in this film. It's got a very comedic, humoristic, and action-oriented tone. Also, the neo-noir and trippy colors I really love throughout this film as well. Also, it's got great pacing, good cinematography, good direction, some really incredible action sequences, and it's got Tom Hiddleston. Enough said. I'm going to give Thor Ragnarok a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I think it gets a 9 for me, too. This movie just kind of felt a little bit different than most of the other Marvel movies. It had like a different tone, obviously very humor filled, but just the way they handled like keeping it very funny and very action and event based, and things were just always happening. Never really a dull moment. Just a lot of fun for me to watch, and I really enjoyed it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. We are going to be having a spoiler review out soon, so be on the lookout for that. And if you guys like these videos, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.